Hello and welcome to My Public Life as an American Nerd. My name is Eddie, and today I have with me Matt from Monster Island. How you doing, Matt?
Doing good.
That's Monster Island store, right?
That's my tag on Instagram, but I like to just call it Monster Island.
Okay. Did you get
Yeah,
that
but on
name?
Instagram, it's Monster Island Store.
Okay. Did you get that name from Godzilla movies?
Of course I did, dude. It's my favorite. It's my favorite Godzilla movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Monster Island. I love the old Godzilla movies. All that, the uniqueness about those old movies, it does something when I watch it, compared to, I don't get as excited today with the new ones as I do to watch the old ones.
You know why that is, dude? Is because the whole magic of the old Godzilla movies was, dude, all these Japanese people, huge crews of people sitting there spending hours meticulously on all these unbelievably real looking cities, little trains, little cars, lighted up light up buildings, little, outlines of a city just to be destroyed by a guy in a rubber
Yeah.
suit. I mean, I don't think Godzilla was ever meant to be CGI.
Oh yeah.
Tasteful CGI maybe, but dude, think of if they would have taken the same budget they dumped on CGI on Godzilla movies and literally did an updated, what's the technical term for that? Is it's called suitmation. That's the name that they gave that art form. Suitmation. Think of what if they took that same CGI budget and dumped it into updated suitmation and all that money into updated looking miniature cities just to be destroyed. It would be
That would be
unbelievable.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a part of, have you seen Suicide Squad 2?
Yes, I have. I enjoyed it.
Okay, then we could talk about it,
Oh,
because
dude, that movie totally takes a kaiju turn at the end, bro.
exactly. I was getting bummed out at the beginning because everybody was gone. And I was like,
No,
what the hell is that? And then
I
and
know,
then
dude. The first 4 minutes of the movie.
yeah. And spoiler alerts, folks. And then I'm watching the rest of the movie, and then they get into the starfish scene, and I'm like thinking, man, that looks crazy. But then it reminded me of Godzilla movie.
Oh
And
my
I'm like,
gosh, dude! Like I said, dude.
if I could like the Godzilla movie, this is actually, it is pretty cool. It's good, bringing back that old nostalgia look. Is pretty,
Yep. No,
yeah.
dude, and not to have another spoiler alert, but dude, that movie, the last 20 minutes, is a full-blown kaiju movie.
Oh yeah, yeah, it
And I
is.
loved it. I was like, whoa, I didn't expect it to take that turn.
Yeah, from the
And
action and everything,
yeah,
from the building coming down, it was, yeah, it was.
yeah,
I did not expect that either, but I was kind of like, this kind of wacky at the first, and I was watching and I got into it. Yeah.
yeah, totally, dude. Yeah. Yeah, but then again, man, anything that Margot Robbie's in, I could pretty much just watch her for an hour and a half and be stoked.
Oh yeah. Yeah, she's a good act, and she's a good actress. So
She is. She is
um
incredibly easy on the eyes, and she is a very, very good actress. As a matter of fact, dude, the first Suicide Squad, I thought from the commercials that she was going to be the most annoying, and she was the least annoying. To me, she was like the saving grace of that first movie.
yeah, there's a lot of annoying characters on that. The way it was directed kind of was annoying to me.
Yeah,
It wasn't that I didn't like it. It was, I think, the direction that I was going, it kind of like, where are they going with this kind of
yeah,
thing. But the second one, I think I like the ending a lot better.
yeah, I agree.
Um, these guys right here, these little Godzillas, I have a
Oh,
couple
killer.
of them, and I went down to Target a couple of months ago, well, a few months back, and they had the boxes of all the Godzillas from the past. And my wife said, "Oh, you should buy them." And I have time. I'll come back and get them. I'll come back and get them. And I never went back to get them. They're the kind where the box opens up like that, and there's a Godzilla
Oh, yeah, I've
standing there.
seen some of those. Yep.
Once they advertise for the movie, those Godzillas are all gone, all of them.
Yeah, I know, dude, because toy collectors, I was talking to a guy at Spooky Empire in Florida, and he had a bunch of that stuff. And he's like, dude, the minute these come out, I go to Target, basically clear the shelves. And bro, if you don't get on them right then, six
Yeah,
months later, a year, you're seeing them for like 3 times the amount on eBay, dude. Those guys, that's their
exactly.
job, is to find the good collectible stuff, you know?
Yeah. I can't believe that I did not listen to my wife and get them at that time. Yeah.
Now you
Yeah.
know, dude.
I know. I missed out on that because everywhere I see them, even when I go inside Frankenstein's, they're like $100, and
No, I know,
I
dude.
had the opportunity to pick them up at for $1, but I did manage to get this.
Oh,
This is
oh, that's a good one, bro.
yeah, this is actually a board game that they put out, and I'm a collector of board games, but when I saw that, I just had to get it. I haven't played it yet though. I haven't had the opportunity to play board games in like a year, but I had to
Wow.
pick that one up. That one, yeah. I'm a Godzilla fan, but I don't have many of the toys. Do you have a large toy collection yourself?
No, you know what, dude? I'm a mask collector, to be honest. So I
Oh,
got some good masks and stuff, and working for Trick or Treat Studios, doing some stuff with them. That's kind of how I got a foot in the door. And speaking of them, dude, if you ever get a chance to meet Chris, the owner of Trick or Treat
hmm.
Studios, you guys would totally hit it off, dude. He's a total board game guy.
Oh,
He's got a
really?
massive, massive collection of board games.
I had to
Yep,
stop because mine was getting to the point where it's massive, and I've only played like 25% of them.
yep. Same
and
with Chris, man.
and my wife, I have them on the shelf in front of me. When I saw, like, why do we have board games that you never even played with? Yeah, I need to get into them. I need to meet Chris too. I need to get back into board games. um Going back
Yeah,
to,
dude. If you get to meet him, you guys to talk each other's ears off about board games.
that'd be awesome. When you worked, did you work for Trick or Treat?
I still do, man. I'm a sales rep for Trick or Treat.
Oh,
So
good.
Monster Island, my store with Monster Island is basically made up of all the brands that I'm a sales rep for during the week. So I have a lengthy list of accounts that I deal with. I have a bunch of Trick or Treat Studios customers, stores that carry the brand. Also, Rock Rebel. You'll see a lot of Rock Rebel
Rock
handbags
Rebel,
and stuff
yes.
that I carry at Monster Island, and then also Retro Go-Go / Goulsville. I carry a lot of their pins and patches and stickers, but they're known for those big vacuum form wall decor,
Yeah,
like the General Mills, Frankenberry and Blueberry and stuff, and then also the classic like Halloween wall hanging things.
yeah,
That's what Retro Go-Go is known for. I'm sure you've seen
yeah.
those.
Retro Go-Go, yeah, we have a few stuff from them. Our
Great.
room is just a lot of art, a lot of horror stuff, a lot of pop, but not
Yep.
just pop, but the culture of pop, but the horror pop
Yep.
and stuff like that.
Yep.
The Retro Go-Go, they take some of the stuff way back. Some masks that I used to like when I was a kid, those ones with the rubber band that just twists
Oh
on the
yeah.
back of the mask, and you
Vacuum
just,
form masks. Ben
yeah.
Cooper and Collegeville were the two big companies that made those back in the day. Ben
Uh,
Cooper and Collegeville. Those were the two
uh,
big vacuum form that came with the little,
Plastic outfit.
yep. Yeah, it's funny, dude. Trick or Treat Studios has got a line of those coming out. Halloween, Michael Myers. Well, I probably shouldn't be saying that because it's kind of top secret. But yeah, I'll put it this way: in next season, Trick or Treat Studios is going to be dropping some actually vacuum form masks and costumes that are for adults that come
Oh,
all
no
retro.
way.
Like, yeah, dude,
That'd be
can't wait
crazy.
for those. Yep,
They're probably gonna do the Rob Zombie Halloween, Mike Myers
yep. I
clown.
definitely know that they got some coming down the line, but it's really cool just making adult ones. It'll be a really great, like little novelty Halloween costumes for adults that want to rock those.
Oh, a lot of adults rock those. Going
Yeah,
takes them back to when they were a kid. Uh,
exactly.
that's how we trick or treated. You either wore a sheet over yourself, or you wore one of those, or somehow you put some makeup on, but you
Yep,
didn't fit in. You weren't cool unless you had one of those masks with the
yep.
plastic suits.
And it was one of those things, dude. You'd be at like Kmart, you'd be like, "Oh, mom, I want to be like, I want to be Fonzie from Happy Days, or I want to be, the
The
Frankenstein
Bonds,
monster."
yeah,
And
the
dude, you reach
Bonds,
over and it's in a box and it's like $3.99. You know what I mean?
yeah. My kids growing up, they wouldn't be cutting those things, but I think by them bringing them back, I think it's going to build a little nostalgia to them. But I think the kids will like them too.
Yeah,
But
I think so too, dude.
couple years
And then with
ago, my kid's gonna be caught dead in those things.
Yep. And dude, you know what it's like with us, man. We're all just big little kids, dude. The collectors are gonna want those too, just
Oh
to
yeah,
not even wear, just to have in their collection, you know?
yeah, just hang them up with the collection. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you collect masks.
Yeah, I do.
Um, any specific mask that you particularly like?
Dude, I like a lot of retro style masks. There's some Don Post masks that I've got in my collection. A lot of Trick or Treat Studios ones I like, but yeah, Don Post was the big company back in the day. We're flipping through Famous Monsters of Filmland magazine, the back pages of that. Um, you know, masks back in the day in the 60s and 70s that were like $39, $49 each. Those are some really sought after ones that are hard to come by, bro, because it's like, you're talking latex rubber. What kind of
Yeah,
latex rubber, unless you like keep this things refrigerated, are going to last, 40, 50 years. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And it's
Those,
crazy with collecting masks and stuff too. They say that the best environment to have like a mask last the longest is like a moist, cool environment. And it's funny as I'm shopping for masks online and stuff, you see some of these dudes with classics in really great shape, and they seem to be all out of the Midwest because, dude, having a basement to your house is very common in the Midwest. It's not common because of like
yeah,
earthquakes and this and that
yeah.
in California. And dude, typically in the Midwest, if you have a basement, the climate in a basement
Which
is
most houses have
slightly
one.
moist and cool. It's like slightly cooler. You go down, like it feels like it's air conditioned down there, and it's got like a moist kind of dampness to the environment. And literally, bro, that is like the atypical, perfect place to keep a mass if you want to get the longest life out of it. Sunny, dry California, bro, masks just literally fall apart. They get so brittle
Start
if you don't,
flaking and brittle. Yeah,
yeah. And it sucks because, you want those things to last. But again, it's rubber, like anything, like a rubber tire over time. And the California sun will just eventually dry out and start to crack and basically fall to pieces. You know what I mean?
yeah. My dad had this monster mask. It was just of an old man looking type mask, but it kind of looked like Frankenstein. It was not Frankenstein, but it was scary and just like creepy looking. And each of
Yeah.
us kids have pictures of us when we were little, wearing it at different times in the periods of our lives. Like
That's so
I
cool,
was
dude.
young wearing that mask, and my dad had it for so many years. Even when we got older, would go inside his closet and pull that thing out.
Dude, just love retro pictures. Like, man, that's like the monster kid stuff of like that made us who we are. You know what I mean?
Oh, some of those pictures though, even the pictures when I took when I was trick or treating, they look creepy as hell from the
Yeah.
old 70s, early 80s.
Oh
Those,
yeah.
yeah, those pictures of kids, the way that they used to dress, even a plain vampire kid with the blood coming out of his mouth just looked really creepy.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah.
did, man.
So you've been doing this for how many years?
Dude, I've been working in the industry for about 15 years or so, and I've been doing conventions pretty actively since about 2009. My very first show
Wow.
being Horror Hound Weekend in Cleveland, I'm sorry, Cincinnati, Ohio.
Oh,
That's the big one out in the Midwest. That's like a 30, 40,000 person convention.
well, which one's that one? I heard you say Cincinnati, but what was the name of it?
That's Horror Hound Weekend.
Our Hound.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've probably seen their magazine. Like if you go to like a bookstore, they usually have Horror Hound magazine. They
Hmm.
started that magazine first, and then they started doing a convention coupled with that. That was like, Horror Hound magazine at first presents Horror Hound Weekend,
Well,
and that's like, what's that?
The Midwest, they don't mess around with their conventions. They have
No,
their
dude.
conventions all year long, but they are serious about horror
Yeah, that's
and
it. That's it.
mazes.
Honestly, dude, because the Midwest in particular, me being from Chicago and like pretty much all the surrounding states like Ohio, Michigan, and Wisconsin, bro, there's a big metal scene out there. It's been a metal
Oh
scene
yeah.
undying since like the 80s. And horror and the metal scene go hand in hand,
Oh
you know?
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Um, looking at some of the characters, like from Iron Maiden. I mean, that's
Yep.
complete horror right there. Then you have
Absolutely,
Alice
man.
Cooper, Kiss. Uh,
Dude, Kiss completely, man. Gene Simmons with the Demon, his whole element, he came from what we did, reading
yeah,
Famous Monsters magazine and Lon Chaney Sr., watching the old silent films like Phantom of the Opera and stuff like that, Man of a Thousand Faces and all that stuff. So yeah, dude, it's all like a melting pot.
yeah. Are you familiar with comic books?
Not that much. I was based more so in like I was really big into the Hulk when I was a kid. Like I
Mhm.
loved the Incredible Hulk, like the '70s show and the
Yeah,
early '80s with Lou Ferrigno and Bill Bixby. But I never actually got into comic reading. No.
because Brian Polito is a comic book publisher. He started out as being an artist and writer, and he writes Lady Death. And Lady's Death is a pure rock horror comic.
Oh, cool.
And there's going to be probably, I think, 5 of our comic book artists there that have
Nice.
had did covers for, actually 6 that have done covers for Lady Death. Yeah, and
Oh, good, man.
and today, I mean, anytime I've interviewed him before, and anytime we talk to him, the first thing he does is like this. What's
Oh, nice,
up?
dude.
Yeah, so it's completely rock and roll. And you read his comic book or see his pictures in the comic books, that's all rock and roll. And he's been doing it for over 30 years.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Yep, rock and roll and the whole horror thing, has been, even before Alice Cooper, man. Like I'm a fan of Screaming Lord Sutch that did the, probably heard that '60s garage song. I'm in love with Dracula's
Oh
daughter.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, dude. You look him up if you ever get time. Look up some footage from him. I mean, dude, he was one of the first guys. Like, Alice Cooper took a lot from him because even in the '60s black and white garage era, he was in
Yeah.
there with a top hat and a cape and like creeping out the audience and girls screaming, but then also loving it. And yeah, look up Screaming Lord Sutch, man. He's an interesting cat. That guy.
Yeah, I got to do that. Um, is that early 70s
That's
or
like
late 60s?
'60s.
60s,
Like
huh?
that's like garage. Yep, when the Beatles and the Stones and stuff like that were the Beach Boys and stuff, Screaming Lord Sutch was doing like a, kind of like a horror host fronting a '60s garage band vibe. Really crazy dude, man. Really funny story, that dude.
I still remember on the radio listening to, when I was a young kid, Wolfman Jack.
Yeah, dude, he had a monster vibe too,
Yeah,
bro. For
yeah, he
sure,
did.
man.
Yeah, he was,
Yep.
and
I mean, even
he,
in the name.
yeah, and the name and the way he spoke, and then he always,
Yep.
yeah, like that had a monster vibe to it too. Black
Yeah,
Sabbath.
now that I think about it, dude, he was probably the first horror, like official horror DJ. I don't know of any other names that come to mind other than, Spooky Meets DJ. I mean, that was Wolfman Jack. He was a pioneer.
Yeah, yeah, I can't remember anybody earlier than him as well. But I know there was some songs from the 50s and 60s
Oh
that
yeah.
had some of that vibe.
Yep.
Love Potion number 9. Um,
Absolutely.
the Monster Masters from the 60s or even 50s,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah, yeah,
Boris Bobby Pickett. Absolutely, man.
yeah. So listening to some of the music that goes along with horror.
Yeah.
Yeah. So um is that your favorite type of music? Rock, or you go back to the punk scene, correct?
Yeah, you know what, man? I'm a drummer and I played in everything from, dude. I mean, I've kind of covered it all. I've played in funk bands, hip hop bands, rockabilly bands, metal bands, punk bands.
Wow.
Yeah, dude, I've kind of got it all under my belt over the years. I played pretty much everything.
So you pretty much listen to everything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm a fan of everything. Heck, dude, I even listen to a lot of like techno, and I appreciate dance music too because it's very beat heavy and like anything that's got a good rhythm and a strong like percussive beat to it, I'm pretty much a fan of. You know?
Yeah, that's pretty much Rob Zombie's music. Kind of took that
Yeah,
techno element and put it into rock, and it sounds
yeah,
awesome.
totally, dude. You know who else did that go very well too? God rest his soul, was Wayne Static, dude. Static X
Yeah, Static
definitely
X.
did
Yeah,
that. They took that they took that metal sound and like mixed it with literally dance club beats
yeah,
and did it well, man. It's funny because I'm not a big fan of that new metal-ish era of the '90s, man. But there's a couple standouts, and I'm a fan of Static X. They had a
yeah,
really unique, cool thing going.
yeah. I remember Static X.
Yep. Wayne
Uh,
Static with the big sprayed up hair.
I'm pretty much into everything myself. I listen to a lot of rock. Like alternative rock was something different, but it didn't have the whole rock vibe to it. Uh, Stone Temple Pilots was probably one of my favorite groups that came out of the '90s because of the
I'm
rock
gonna agree
element
with
that
you, bro.
you got to agree with me, yeah,
I
because
have
of
to agree with you.
yeah, because they still had rock and roll in them. Uh, Foo Fighters had a little mixture of both, but they're coming out uh, with a lot of rock element today with
Yep.
today's music. Yeah.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, dude, with Stone Temple Pilots, man, I think they got unfairly lumped in that grunge scene just because
there's
of
the
the year
era.
time that they came out. But bro, you listen to Stone Temple Pilots records, and literally, bro, they went above and beyond to make each and every song sound different, man. I mean, you compare like, Flies in the Vaseline
Oh
to
yeah.
like Plush or something, and it sounds like different bands,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh yeah. Yeah. His voice too. He had one of the best voices of rock and roll.
I
Uh,
agree with you, man.
yeah.
I agree with
Scott
you.
Weiland had one of the better voices of rock and roll, and he was able to put his voice with that rock sound. But I've seen him 3 times, and I've heard several concerts that they've been in, and every single time they play, they say this is rock and roll, and they'll announce that too.
Yep.
In a grunge era, they'd be like, this is rock and roll. It's not your grudge band. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree, dude. And they had some really good key elements too. Eric Kretz was a phenomenal, or is a great drummer. And
Oh
dude,
yeah.
just the element of like the DeLeo brothers, the fact that they
Yeah.
were brothers on
Yeah.
guitar and bass, dude, those guys are amazing, man.
Yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant musicians,
Oh,
bro.
they are. They are. They try to keep that band together as much as possible, but that's crazy. One suicide and one overdose. Uh,
Yeah,
I don't know if it's curse of the band, but uh, Scott Weiland, I, I really do not respect him for being that much of a drug addict that he could not kick it. But
yeah,
what he did in music, for that band was crazy because no matter what singer they get, everybody's going to want to hear the old STP.
that's true, man. Those are some big shoes to fill, man.
The guy, the new lead singer actually sounds pretty good though. He
I
sounds
haven't
like
seen him yet. I need to give him a listen. I haven't seen him with their new singer.
yeah, they have some new stuff out, but he does the old stuff and he's pretty good with it.
Well, didn't Chester from
Yeah,
Lincoln Park step in
yeah,
for a little bit?
yeah. That's who the suicide guy I said was.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah. He
yeah.
committed suicide right after Chris Cornell committed suicide. I think it was a couple months away from each other, and they were good friends too.
Man, such a
Yeah,
shame and so tragic, man.
yeah. It's one thing when you hear about somebody overdosing, but it's another thing when you hear about a suicide from someone with that much talent and that much publicity and have that much at their hands and feet that they could get anything they want, but they chose to end their lives.
Bro, you know what? I've always said this, man. When you're at the peak of like, like a Chester and Lincoln Park, or like a Weiland, I think Weiland's example is a little bit more appropriate with the drug overdose. It's like, bro, can you imagine being a band looking out in a crowd and having 50 to 100,000
I,
people all singing lyrics that you wrote, and
yeah.
then that ends, bro? It's like, dude, a lot of those guys turn to drugs because it's their only way to get even that slight buzz again, bro. I can only imagine. I mean, I played some good shows before, and nowhere near the shows that I did. But bro, that's like a roller coaster. It's a tough thing to deal with when you
But
are
it
on
but it,
cloud nine.
but it did not end for Scott Weiland. Scott Weiland got kicked out of SCP and he starts Velvet Revolver, and boom, he's back in the spotlight doing the same
True, man.
thing. That was an awesome
But
band. I
dude, I
thought that
look
was
at some
Guns
of
N'
that footage,
Roses.
man. I agree, bro. I'll tell you what, it's a little bit sad and depressing watching a little bit of Velvet Revolver stuff because, dude, you could just see as much as how cool he looked and how good Scott Weiland sounded. bro, the guy was like 85 pounds, skinny as a
Oh
rail,
yeah,
did
yeah,
not look
yeah,
healthy. You know
yeah,
what I mean? He
yeah.
looked cool as hell, but it's all about that skinny rock and roll look. But he
When
kind of
he
looked
started
like he
off,
was
he was a little chubby around the face. Actually, it took not that long for him to build his skinny look. In the beginning of a concert, he'd always start out like this. He's wearing a suit, tie, dress shoes, complete look. It was just like to the nines. But he was
he definitely
practically
looked cool. I
naked
gotta
by the
give
end of the night with just a pair of pants on.
him that. Yeah, but
And he
dude,
was
it's all
skinny as
about
hell,
that.
but the way he moved, the way he danced, I mean, yeah, that was he was quite a character. But
Yep.
I can't imagine actually getting kicked out of a band and then starting up with Guns N' Roses. And
Basically
that
was. It was
that
basically GNR with him on
yeah,
vocals.
yeah, that's what it was. Chris Cornell too. Chris Cornell. He leaves
Yep.
Soundgarden and ends up with Rage Against the Machine.
That was a cool band. Audio Slave had a good
Yeah, Audio
sound.
Slave. Yeah, with his voice. Oh yeah, that was an
Yep.
awesome band. I don't. I just. I. I. I guess you have to be in their shoes to understand uh, the fame, and then during that fame, you're not allowed to leave your house. You're not allowed to go anywhere without being noticed or seen.
Yeah,
Uh,
that takes a certain mindset, man.
you can't trust friends. You can't trust
True.
anybody. Yeah,
Yep.
crazy.
The minute you start making a bunch of money, you got all these people that are quote unquote your friends coming out of the woodwork, you know?
Yeah. So, what was your favorite band playing with?
Wow, man. You know what, dude? I've been blessed enough to play for with some really good bands, man. I was in a band called Boogie Shoes back in the mid '90s in Chicago. That was kind of like Chicago's Beastie Boys. And
Mm.
dude, we got to open up for Outkast. We opened up for Fishbone. We
Oh,
opened up for Kid Rock.
Fishbone.
Yeah, we opened up for Kid Rock on the Devil Without a Cause tour. We did a mini tour with Digital Underground. Um, my band Monster Trucks, that was like a horror inspired skate rock band. We opened up for Agent Orange. We opened up for Murphy's Law. Um, dude, the list goes on, man. I mean, they've all been unique, rad experiences in their own way, man. But I'd have to say some of the biggest and most exciting ones was my band Boogie Shoes. And then I also played in about 2008, 2009. I was in a band out here that was Orange County based that was called the Johns, and we got to open up for Social Distortion for two of their
Oh,
Christmas shows in House of Blues. So that was great too. I initially moved out here from Chicago in 2005 because I was the drummer in the Skulls, and with the Skulls, we opened up for Dead Kennedys. We played with the Addicts. Um, Dude, it's honestly, Eddie, I've been so blessed to play with some of my heroes, man. It's
that's
been awesome.
awesome. I mean,
Yeah,
bands that I've seen, bands that I wanted to see, I have yet, believe it or not, I have yet to see Social Distortion. Um, I I used to hang out in Hollywood a lot, and I used to go. I used to get tickets to at least 40 concerts a year, and twice in one year I wanted to see Social Distortion, and
yep.
right at the house, no, it was the Ice House in Pomona, California. It's a little venue. It only holds like 300, I think. It's a little venue called the Glass House,
Yeah,
and
I remember. I've seen shows
social
there. I
social
saw mindless
distortion.
self-indulgence there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's the standing room, and it's this little tiny building. I mean, and social
that place isn't
distortion was
still
playing.
around. Are they still around? Is the Glass
Yes,
House
they're
still a
still,
venue?
yeah, yeah, they're still
Oh wow.
playing. They're
Oh
still
wow.
doing bands. Actually, they had a big thing going on with a couple of the punk bands. Well, the Vandals was one of them, and
Killer,
that's
man.
one of my favorite punk bands. But
Me too,
I
man.
I went there to see Social Distortion, and the drummer broke his arm that day.
Wow.
So Fishbone stepped up and Fishbone played, which is fine.
Wow.
I love watching Fishbone. They're such a fun band. I watched them when
Dude,
I was much younger as well.
yeah, it's funny, man. I just did a small event out here in Orange County about a month and a half ago, bro. And I was setting up for the event, and this guy next to me that I noticed from behind was helping this girl load in her booth. And shaved head, black guy, really cool style, like some Dickie shorts. He had some Adidas on. And the minute thing, and of course, the alarm goes off my head. I'm like, dude, I think that is Norwood from Fishbone. So I went up to him and I tapped him. I'm like, bro, Norwood. And he turns around. He's like, yeah. I'm like, dude. I'm like, wow, the bass player of Fishbone. So long story short, man, I asked him like what he was doing there. He's like, it's my lady that I date. I was just helping her load up and stuff. And I made small talk. I'm like, bro, I used to play drums in the band Boogie Shoes from Chicago. He's like, bro, Boogie Shoes. I haven't heard
He
that name
remembered
in
you.
about 25
Yeah,
years, bro. And I'm like, dude, what's up with Fishbone? Eddie, he said that it's basically original lineup right now, dude.
it is.
Everybody's
It
back.
is.
Rudy Walt, they got freaking Fish back on drums.
They have
It is like, I'm like,
Untouchables.
yeah.
They're playing with the Untouchables. I haven't seen the Untouchables since like 1987.
Yep. And bro, original lineup Fishbone, that is a
Yeah,
powerhouse band
yeah.
right there, bro.
Mhm.
He's like, no, dude, everybody's back. We are OG lineup again. I was like, wow, dude.
This is
So
in
yeah,
Party at Ground Zero, man.
dude, what a great song, man.
Yeah. I would love to see them again. They were actually going to be up here at the fairgrounds on I think it was March of 2020 at the no is May of 2020, and COVID hit in March of 2020, and
Oh,
I was going to be interviewing some of the bands there.
yep.
Yeah.
Bro, my whole life turned
And
to upside
Fishbone was one of them.
down. Yeah, dude, awesome. You know what I love, dude? You remember the movie Back to the Beach from the 80s?
Oh
Remember
yeah,
how they
yeah,
were in that?
yeah. They're in that
Yeah,
movie. Same with
yeah,
Paul Rubin as Pee Wee Herman.
yeah.
But when
Yeah, did the
Fishbones did their
bird.
song, yeah,
The bird, bird, bird. The bird is the word.
yeah.
Yeah. Cruise around in
Um,
the surfboard.
I used
Oh
to just watch that movie. I used to fast forward the whole part just to hear
yeah. Yeah.
and
And
they
it
start
opens up
playing. Yeah,
with Angelo with his saxophone. He's got the
yeah,
green Doc Martens on. Yep.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Remember that movie? It is a corny movie, but
Yep.
Fishbone being in it was like my highlight.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah,
I'd like, anything for the 80s, man. I'm such a big 80s guy. Back on like horror real quick. I think that's why, everybody is still, it's like timeless and everybody is so big on, I specialize at Monster Island with a lot of the classic monsters, Frankenstein, The Bride, Creature, all that stuff. And then I jump to the 80s. And dude, there's no reason. I mean, there is a reason why all those guys are so timeless and everybody's all about them now. I mean, dude, now everybody can't get enough of Michael Myers. They
yeah.
can't get enough of Jason Voorhees. They love Chucky. They love Freddy Krueger. It's like, dude, that was like the second golden age of horror, if you ask me. The 80s, man,
The
stuff
80s
is
was,
timeless.
but when you watch the movies from the 80s, they're not that scary. And Freddy Krueger being a character that's more of a comedian,
Yep.
a killer.
Yeah.
But you watch some of those movies and they have the nostalgia to them. But you watch a horror movie today and um, they're different. It's a different type of horror movie.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just
Uh,
not particularly about, the saws and stuff like that. I don't, mind that people are fans of that. But bro, paying $17 to watch somebody slowly get tortured for an hour and a half, there's no magic to those movies, bro.
yeah,
Like you said, like Chucky's almost a comedian. I see little kids that are like 4 and 5 years old run up to the booth and they love Chucky or they
mhm,
love Michael Myers and they got a Michael Myers patch on their vest and
yeah.
like, you know what I mean? There was just a magic to that decade in the 80s, man.
Well, the Michael Myers, you didn't see in the 80s people walking around dressed as Michael Myers,
Yep.
which is very
No, you didn't.
weird. You
Oh, that's
didn't,
a good point, dude. You didn't.
yeah. You had to wait till like the late 80s where Freddy was the most popular and
Yep.
people would dress as Freddy, but you never saw people dress as Mike Myers in the early
Yep.
80s. That movie came out in 79, was it? Or
Yep.
70? Yeah.
And dude,
Um,
when you think about it too, dude, John Carpenter's whole style of directing, you watch, especially the first Halloween, bro, you actually don't visually see any kills. It's all
oh yeah.
suggested.
Yeah.
It's all like
Yeah.
a shadow or like, just the whole like build up. And it was like more
Yeah.
suggestive. And it was basically the Friday the 13th with Jason Voorhees was like, okay, we're going to be the opposite of Halloween. We're going to show these kills and
Right.
come up with funny, almost laughable, super creative kills to where they took a different route. It was like, the arrow through the eye or whatever. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I think Halloween would have had a different twist to it because of the name. I think that they were going to call it the babysitter killer or babysitter stalker, something like that.
Or
It
like the
was
boogeyman or something like that, wasn't it? I
um
heard something. Yeah.
yeah,
I don't know exactly.
yeah. I heard babysitter or something like the babysitter killer or something like that. But I think it would have been a different type of movie. Being it was Halloween, I mean that carried on with the tradition of Halloween itself.
Yep. Yeah, and I remember seeing a documentary where John Carpenter was like, somebody suggested, oh, we should call it Halloween. And John Carpenter was like, no, man, we can't call it Halloween. There's got to be some, and looked into it, and they're like, wow, we can use the name Halloween. Like, it hasn't been used, and he was kind of, awestruck that
Yeah.
that was an unused name, and that they could in fact call the movie Halloween. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I can't believe today how people are looking at the third Halloween, Season of the Witch, because back in the 80s when you watched it, a lot of people hated it. I think it became one of those movies that people turned around and said, that was an okay movie. If it stood by itself and
Bro, if
not,
that movie was called something like Silver Shamrock or something, the movie itself is awesome. And
yeah, it is.
we're probably close in the same age, bro. This is my take also on Season of the Witch. A big reason for its cult following is, bro, that was a movie in the 80s that was heavily rotated on cable TV, bro. I remember there was a time when I would click on cable and Season of the Witch was on a
Yeah,
lot
yeah.
on cable TV, which is like little horror fans like me and you in our
Was it
teens.
was it on or select TV? Because I remember they had on or select TV, and you had to have a little key for the box.
Yep, dude, I remember it like it was
It was
yesterday.
before cable, before HBO.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
but
And it was funny, dude, because you click on the adult one and you
oh
get that
yeah,
zigzag line. But it was always good for a quick movie or
oh
something,
yeah,
like real quick. You'd be
yeah,
like, oh, sitting there, you know what I mean? But yeah, dude, the whole thing with Halloween was their idea, their goal after Halloween 2, which a lot of Halloween fans know already, was that they were trying to build each movie after that as its own unique movie. And it didn't, and because of the backlash of Michael Myers not having more of a presence in Halloween 3, they went back to Michael Myers movies with Halloween 4. But
yeah.
again, bro, I mean, Halloween Season of the Witch, it was a
It
really
was a
cool
really good
movie.
movie. It
I mean, that
was.
Warlock guy was freaking scary, bro. And like the whole concept. And here's a little tidbit, bro. Me being a mask collector, I have a big book that's all about the history of Don Post Studios.
Oh,
And
really?
they were the guys that made the witch and the pumpkin and the skull
Yeah,
mask.
that's what I
Bro,
was
do you
just
know
gonna
that
tell
those
you.
scenes, bro, those scenes that were, at Silver Shamrock, bro, they were filmed at Don Post Studios.
Yeah,
There's a whole section of my book that talks about how the guys that were working shipping and receivings for Don Post masks in the 80s were all frustrated because once they closed at 5 o'clock, it became Silver Shamrock. And that Silver Shamrock factory was, in fact, at Don Post Studios. Dude,
yeah.
when I read that, I was like, oh my God, that is just so cool as a
My
mask collector to learn
one of
that.
my friends at that time, one of our friends at that time, his his family business was making mannequins. So at
Oh,
his
wow.
house, he had pieces of mannequins here and there. And I went inside his brother's room. He said, "Come here, come here. You guys got to check out my brother's room. It's crazy. It's different." And walk in there, and one of the first things I see is the pumpkin head, the pumpkin mask for that. Yeah, my
So
brother
cool.
made that mask. He
Wow.
works for the studios.
Wow, dude.
I was just like, oh wow, that's crazy. Yeah,
Those are crazy.
it
Those
was in a
things.
glass case. Nobody could touch it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last time, Trick or Treat Studios has the Halloween license now, and they make the updated versions of those three masks. And there's glow in the dark ones coming next season, but they make them with the chip and everything. But bro, last time I saw a collection of the original Don Post ones from the 80s, a guy on eBay about 3 or 4 months ago had three of them for $1,800. He was selling
Oh
the set
wow.
for. Yeah. And that was the original Don Post pumpkin, witch, and skull from the 80s. Don Post ones.
Yeah.
Those didn't come by cheap for sure, but
I saw you at Killer Circus this past weekend,
Yep.
and I was wearing a shirt that I get tons of compliments on.
Yeah, it was
And
the Season of the Witch shirt,
the
wasn't it? With the
season, yeah,
pumpkin
season,
skull and the
yeah,
witch on there.
a newer one from Creepy Company,
Oh, they
and
make cool shirts, man.
yeah, and my wife bought that one for me, and I wore it. But I get a lot of compliments wearing that shirt. I get surprised because I don't think I never thought how many people would like that movie because of the backlash that it had back in the 80s.
Huge cult
Yeah,
following for that
yeah,
movie, bro.
yeah,
Huge cult following.
yeah,
Yep. And like I said, dude, it was all about that movie that was on rotation so much in the 80s that, it's again one of those things, like I said earlier, we're just bigger little kids, like those things that impacted us as a child still are things that we're into today. So I think that has a lot to do with why so many people are into that movie in particular.
yeah. It's 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 kind of trippy how things just go back and then come back, and then even with styles and music, types of music, they
Yep.
change and they evolve. They always go backwards and forward.
Yeah, they
um
do. They always come back. They eventually come back. It's almost like in 10-year cycles. What was cool
yeah,
10 years ago in fashion is what's cool now. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I've noticed that.
Now you do a lot of conventions, a lot of expos. um
Yep.
you do them around the country?
Yeah, all over the place, man. When I don't do Monster Island at smaller events, I'm Trick or Treat Studios events manager. So at the bigger ticket shows, like at the end of October, I'm going to Florida to do Spooky Empire. That's Florida's big convention that they have twice a year. Next weekend, I'll be in Texas at Texas Frightmare Weekend. That's Texas's big convention. And then, yeah, with like the big like pop up markets and like newer shows and stuff like that. I like sticking to my own thing, and I do Monster Island at those shows.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Do you have a particular show that you like the most? Oh, Monster Palooza was just canceled. Were you gonna go there?
Yes, I was supposed to be there,
Yeah,
and I just got that email the other day. It sucks, man, because Elliot, the guy that throws that show, is a really, really good dude. I've been doing Monster Palooza since their very first show, which was in 2010. And it's crazy because being a sales rep for the brands that I sell, I used to go to like Borders and the bookstores or Barnes and Nobles and just flip through horror magazines, bro. And you look toward the back, and a lot of these smaller monster stores and stuff will advertise in the back saying, hey, we're like the horror store in Cincinnati or here or wherever. And Monster Palooza, had an ad in one of those magazines in 2010 that said, celebrating the art of monsters, Monster Palooza, LA's first monster convention.
yeah,
And I reached out to Elliot, and I've done every single Monster Palooza.
yeah. I think as far as expos go, I think the only expo during that time now is Scare Fair.
During the one that you're having on that weekend, October
Yes,
30th. I
yes,
agree, man. I don't
yes,
think it could be a better weekend, even if you tried, bro. Halloween weekend, you
yeah.
know?
Scare Fair is on Halloween weekend. There we have about 60 vendors. We have about 10 celebrity guests, 10 comic book artists, a haunted maze, a site it's called Psychotic, Carnival of Thrills, and then we have two bands playing. Roadwork is opening for American Zombie, and American Zombie is a Rob Zombie tribute band.
That's
So,
awesome.
so it's going to be
Yeah,
a
and like I
really
said to you
fun
too,
night.
Eddie, at what I said to you at Killer Circus, just to give the Scare Fair a little nice little plug, is bro, one of the things I became a pro at in 15 years is when a show is going to be bad and good, and you get vibes off of like I just know what shows are going to be good, what shows might not be that great, which ones might be a waste of time. And bro, I just got a very good vibe from you, the way that you approached me, the way that I was initially heard and saw about Scare Fair. The marketing is a huge deal, bro. Your whole layout looks very professional. The
Thank you.
graphics look great. Scare Fair is a cool, unique name. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Victorville is a part of time where there's nothing like that going on. Coupled with it being on Halloween weekend, bro. Bro, it's like bing, bing, bing. It's like three, golden flags of like, dude, this is at least going to be more than decent, if not spectacular. which is why I even
Thank
signed
you.
up for Scarefair. I just got a very good vibe from you.
Thank you. I a lot of credit goes to, I did not come up with the name. Um, Dave Montoya did. And he's the one that came with the idea to start it. And I have to give a lot of credit to my graphic designer, who's been working on alongside thing. Her name is Jenna Sparks. I would have an idea.
Word.
I would have an idea in my head, and um, I would give her the idea of what direction we wanted to go in, what my vision was going with everything that they've asked me to do, and she would knock it out of the park every time. I mean, there's some times when I've had to ask for something, and I felt very guilty about it, redone. But yeah, she knocked everything out of the park. I think at this point in the game, I've seen so many different advertisings in the past to like Midsummer and some other ones that would come up. And I think she did something that changed the look because I'm starting to see a lot of her work and other people's events.
Yep. No,
And
it's true, bro. That graphic persons is a key person to
yeah,
have, man.
yeah,
You know, they need to be, they have to have an artist's eye. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. So
Yep.
a lot of credit goes to her. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. I even saw your guys' banners that you had this past weekend and stuff. Those look awesome, man.
yeah,
And dude, just the job promotion wise that you're doing, bro. Flyers, Facebook, blowing up Instagram, at every show that matters, handing out flyers. Bro, you got to go old school.
yeah,
Flyers still do work, bro. You can't just set up a Facebook page and expect people to show up. You're shooting yourself in the foot. You got to be there in people's faces. You got to blow up online, literally every angle that you can think about that you're doing, that you're pursuing is going to be beneficial, man. Is going to
yeah.
be very beneficial for your show.
I felt the same way too. Victorville is a it's a growing town. It's a growing city, and then you have Hesperia and Apple Valley and Adelanto feeling that surround it. But Victorville is growing, and there's a fairground up here. It's San Bernardino Fairground. San Bernardino being the largest county in the nation, and it's right here in Victorville, and they've never had anything like this before.
Yeah.
And this is actually a Comic Con because I have the comic book writers with this, and then it's actually a Halloween expo combined. So
Yep.
I'm hoping to get a lot from the comic book artists. They really just promote themselves, and no matter what town they're in, they're gonna get people over there.
Yep.
As long as the comic stores are pushing the flyers, they're pushing themselves on their websites, and people that follow them, that they'll come. The comic book artists I'm not worried about, but people showing up here in Victorville, this is for Victorville, man.
Yeah. Not only that, bro. You know what? Where I think you're going to score, Eddie, is like when like I mentioned, Spooky Empire in Florida. They have two shows. They have one in April, and then their second show is always in October, whatever the closest weekend to Halloween weekend that they could book. If they can't get actually Halloween weekend, they'll do it like before, but whatever the closest one is. And they have like maybe basically half the attendees in April. There's a lot of vendors that don't even do their April one
Oh wow,
because their mother one is in October. Because, bro, again, it's like a bunch of Floridians that aren't necessarily fans of horror, that they just want something Halloweeny to do that weekend. And they come out, do that. It calls, it's literally, another 20,000 people come up because it's the Halloween thing that they do every year. They go to
yeah,
Spooky Empire. They're not watching horror movies year round, but it's like that thing that they do every Halloween to celebrate the season by going to Spooky Empire. And bro, I
yeah.
think you're going to bring in a lot of people just because of the day before Halloween. People are going to want to do spooky stuff that weekend. It might not be just horror fans, but also again a bunch of people that just want to do something for Halloween. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
And I think because of COVID last year, pretty much Halloween shut down, from
Yep.
trick or treating to events to haunted houses and stuff. There were a few drive through haunted houses, but I think people just miss getting out. Like you said, they miss getting out. They miss going to shows or expos or or anywhere trick-or-treating too. We included trick-or-treating in our event because we
Yeah,
want them to be able to bring the family with them. Now, if
I think
some
it's going to be good, man. I got a really good feeling about it. I think it's going to be great.
Thank you. I think it'd be great as well. Um, well, that's about time. That's about time that we have. It looks like you're getting pretty tired too.
It's just been a longer day, but yeah, right around this time, older age, dude, you start getting like a grandpa throwing a movie and you're asleep by 10
Oh
o'clock.
yeah, yeah.
You know what
It's funny because nowadays we used to sit there and watch TV. Like we'd come in the room, lay down,
I
watch TV. As soon as I hit the bed, I'm out. I
mean? I
can't
know,
stay up
dude.
anymore. Yeah, my
Dude, if I
age.
could make it through a whole movie these days, I'm like, wow, that was a feat that I just conquered, you
Yeah,
know?
gotta start watching a movie at 3 o'clock in the afternoon to get through with it.
Yeah, right.
Okay, Matt, it's great talking to you. Thank you for coming on. I had a great time.
Awesome, man. Me too, dude. I cannot wait for your event, Eddie. I hope it's a huge success.
Thank you. Tickets are on sale now for those of you that don't know. Scare Fair, Victorville, California, San Bernardino Fairgrounds. We got Walter Phelan from House of Thousand Corpses. He's Dr. Satan. Got Eileen Dietz from The Exorcist. She played the demon. We got Lisa Wilcox from Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and 4. We 4 and 5, I think. We have John Rosari. He's a composer for Killer Clowns. A lot of great people. We also have can't even forget this. We have the biggest guy, Joe Bob's Briggs too. He's going to be there.
Oh, dude,
So
he's always a good one, man.
he's going to be there with his male girl Darcy is going to be there as well. So
Killer,
come
man.
come out and check us out, and I'll see you then. If I don't
Okay,
see you,
sounds good, Eddie.
if I don't see you at some other expos or conventions or pop ups. All right, good talking to you. See you
Thanks, bro.
guys. Good night.
Appreciate it, Eddie. Have a good night, brother.
You too. Bye bye.